This is Linux In-Laws, a podcast on topics around free and open source software, any associated contraband, communism, the revolution in general, and whatever else fancies your tickle. Please note that this and other episodes may contain strong language, offensive humor, and other certainly not politically correct language. You have been warned. Our parents insisted on this disclaimer. Happy, Mum? Thus, the content is not suitable for consumption in the workplace, especially when played back on a speaker in an open plan office or similar environments. Any minors under the age of 35, or any pets, including fluffy little killer bunnies, your trusted guide dog, unless on speed, and cute T-Rexes or other associated dinosaurs. Welcome to Linux In-Laws, Season 2, Episode 12. Martin, how are things?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. What about yourself?
Can't complain, Martin, can't complain. So the Vogons haven't landed yet, so they haven't started to recite poetry.
Well, not as far as we know. Not as far
exactly.
They wouldn't tell us, would they, if they did?
No, Martin. But this is not a show about Vogons, but rather about a very interesting open source project called DAVx5. And for those two people who do not on the planet who do not know what DAVx5 is, it's actually a very handy bridge, and this is my wording, for various DAV services. And actually, we managed to get Bernhard Stockmann on the episode, who is one of the main inventors of DAVx5. But before I get things even more wrong, maybe Bernhard, you can A, introduce yourself, and B, shed some light on the project.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Bernhard Stockmann. I'm one of the founders of DAVx5. And this project is already 10 years old, and a lot of Android people might know it, especially from the open source scene. What is DAVx5? It's a sync adapter, basically. You can synchronize contacts, calendars, and tasks, and you can also get access to your WebDAV files on your Android device. So, but the special thing about this that you can use it with any CalDAV, WebDAV server. So your data is privately stored maybe on your own instance at home, or maybe on a service that you trust more than one of the big techs. That's a short introduction of DAVx5. It's an Android app. Yeah.
Exactly. Before we go into the finer details, maybe you can shed a little bit Maybe you can shed a little bit of light on where you come from, what you've done before, and how you actually got into the project all those years ago.
Okay. Yes. Basically, where do I start?
At the beginning.
Maybe at the beginning. At the beginning. Of DAVx5? No, maybe a bit before, because
you were born in the 70s, 80s, 90s?
I'm born in the 80s.
There you go. That's
actually. That's a good start, yes. When I finished my Matura, as we say in Austria, I'm coming from Austria, actually. That's
Austrian
a good thing to
exactly,
say. Yeah, right. Then I decided, I decided to study informatics, but that didn't turn out very well, actually. So I skipped these studies after a few years. Then
do you want to tell us why?
Why? It turned out that I'm not a programming guy. Actually, I like technical stuff, but I'm not good in mathematics, and I'm not good in very logical thinking. And basically, one part of the studies broke me, actually, and this is algorithms and data structures. This was one course that I actually didn't manage to finish, and then I skipped the whole studies, and I did something else. In the beginning, then I did a lot of things with GIMP. I've seen that you have an episode on this also. I made a lot of tutorials for this. I'm more a creative person. And together with my partner, Ricky, which I met during the studies, we created a web portal for GIMP. It's called gimpusers.com and gimpusers.de. You can look it up if you want. And all the tutorials listed there, they are from me. And this is also one of the big steps into the open source scene, actually, I would say. And after this, how did it continue? Let me think a bit. We founded our own company, Bitfire, during the GIMP time, which were several years. I think I did these tutorials for quite some time.
Okay.
And besides that, which was our own project, we founded the company Bitfire, and we made websites for companies. These were our main services. So we're coming from the web development side.
See.
Yeah, and this was also a good thing because we could do the portal for gimpusers.com on ourselves, and we did all the programming on our own. And after this, I think it was 2013. It turned out that the companies were not so much, not any longer interested in getting websites, because 2013 was the high time for mobile phones and the smartphones, namely iPhone and Android. And a lot of companies thought they don't need any website anymore. They need apps. Yeah. So the business was a little bit decreasing. And we thought, do we want to continue making websites? Then at the same time, we got also our first smartphones, and we had our own server at home, and we wanted to use contacts and calendars hosted on our own server, from our own server. So this was also the birth hour for DAVx5, because at that time no good sync adapter was available, especially not an open source one, and we always preferred open source software. During the website times, we used Typo3, if you know it. It's a content management system. This is also open source.
PHP, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Almost everything is PHP. Back that time, at least. That Typo3 we used in the company, and that finally led us to DAVx5, so creating this handy app, and it turned out to become our main thing now. So we are not doing anything else in the company right now. It's our own product. It's completely open source, and it's going great, actually. So we are now 4 persons working on this. That's a short introduction of myself and how it got to DAVx5.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You go ahead as well. It's fine.
The very interesting thing that I noticed, I mean, DAVx5 started out as DAVdroid, and it was a pure Java code base, and at some stage he made the switch from Java to Kotlin. I
Yes.
take it that was prior to the Google announcement in 2019, where Google, sorry, for the people who do not know, who do not follow this trend, in 2019, actually Google said, we're going to move the, how can I put this diplomatically? Kotlin is now the premier technology choice for mobile applications, and we're going to move away from Java. But I reckon you made that choice before Google before Google made this announcement.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know the exact dates when we switched to Kotlin. I remember it, of course, but I'm not programming, so I'm not deeply into the dates when what happens when. But it was a decision of stability, as I recall, because the main thing I remember is that in Kotlin there are no, or at least should be no null pointer exceptions. And this was an important step for us to make a very stable product. So Ricky looked at Kotlin deeply, and she decided to switch to this.
But
and
you didn't.
I just said, well, if it's that if it's a good choice, then we make it, of course.
Because of the choice of technologies at the time, there was Rust around. Of course, there was Dart. Did you consider any other technologies apart from Kotlin when you made that switch?
I don't know, actually. I think Kotlin. It was also because Kotlin compiled to the Java virtual machine, and we could do the switch step by step. So parts of DAVx5 have been at that time been in Java, and other parts have been in Kotlin. And we continue to make releases with these two languages in parallel. So
you still maintain the Java code base?
Yeah, not now. But at that time, parts of DAVx5 were in Java, and parts of that was in Kotlin. I think that's the thing.
But you're not looking back now.
No. we are happily using Kotlin as far as I know. So from our developers, Kotlin is a very good language for Android, at least.
Excellent. But before we go even further, maybe for the two listeners who do not know what we're actually talking about, maybe we should explain a little bit what actually CalDAV, WebDAV, and CalDAV actually is, because I reckon that not everybody's familiar with these standards protocols and what they do exactly. So maybe you can shed some light on this, and then we can kind of take it further.
Well, the DAV protocols, namely CalDAV, CalDAV, and WebDAV, are open standards to synchronize actually data between a server and a client. That's these are open protocols, and all servers can implement it. So it makes the way free to have a very broad, decentralized network of servers that can be used, in contrary to, for example, the Google Cloud, which is a single big cloud and everyone connects to the Google servers. And for the DAV protocols, you can, for example, use your mail provider if they offer CalDAV or CalDAV or both. It's basically that. open protocols that can be used by everyone to synchronize data.
I mean, and needless to say, every major piece of open source software dealing with that sort of information is able actually to handle this. I mean, Nextcloud comes to mind as a premier WebDAV server. Thunderbird understands CalDAV, if I'm not completely mistaken, and CalDAV, I think, is understood by Thunderbird as well, and many other open source technologies.
Exactly. There are a lot of servers. And this is also one of the biggest challenges, actually, for us, because we are the sync client on Android, actually, and we have to talk to all of the different kind of servers. And all these implementations are slightly different. This is the challenge, because although you have these open protocols, the implementation is different on the one server or the other. And it comes to some strange error cases on the one server, while this is not happening on the other one. That's a big challenge, actually. We get a lot of support messages from users, and they all use different servers, and if we can support them, then we have to deal with sometimes with the internals of the processing between this server of the user and DAVx5.
Yeah, I see you have a very large list of server types you support, right? Is that based on user feedback? I guess that's.
Actually, the list, if you refer to the one on our website, the tested with website, this one is a list where of servers we tested on our own. So these are really good. They are really good working. There are huge amounts of others.
It's quite an extensive list, to be honest. I haven't heard of half of them, but well done. But if I understand it correctly, I'm not an Android user anymore, to be perfectly honest, but I used to.
If you use iPhone, then you have the CalDAV and CalDAV protocol built in a very basic way, so you don't need any additional software.
So the DAVx5 connects to the CalDAV server, right, and synchronizes that way, and the same the other way around. So with all these kind of distributed systems, have you considered what happens when and how do you handle multiple updates of the same data, so to speak, or changes?
This is done through e-tags and c-tags, and in case of conflicts, the server always wins. This is
okay.
That's
good enough rule, yeah. Fair enough. Okay.
So if a data changes on the server side, then there is the e-tag and the c-tag, the collection tag, and the client and the server both have stored this token, so to say, or this hash, and if on one side or the other data changes, also the c-tag or the e-tag changes, and then both parties can determine.
Okay, makes sense. No, that's a very sensible approach. You mentioned there is a on a non-Android like iPhone, is a limited implementation of the protocol. Do you have any more?
It's very basic, actually, because I think on iPhones you don't have the possibility to have different address books, and DAVx5 supports different address books, so you can. If your Contacts app is capable of this, you can filter the address, the contact lists to the ones you want to show. And I think on iPhone you don't have this possibility. It's just a very big list of contacts that is synced. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really into
that's right. There is no contract grouping or something like that. Okay. So how do you? Is there anything that you're involved in on that side, or do you purely focus on the Android side?
We're only on Android.
Fair enough.
No plans. No plans for a port to iPhone.
Well, it might be an idea, but it's quite a big user base there. Anyway, enough about iPhone.
I know. Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned
actually.
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
Actually, some companies asked us if there is a DAVx5 for iPhone. I'm not sure why they would need it, but they then stick with the normal implementation of CalDAV and CalDAV. So it seems to be enough for the most companies.
You mentioned there's 4 of you now. When you say there is 4 of you working on the project, presumably it's all these are not people's day jobs, right?
Yeah, we have 2 years ago we still were 2 people, but as our business model turns to be successful, we could raise the amount of people working for DAVx5 a little bit. And we have one guy working from Denmark. He's actually German in Denmark. And another guy working from Spain in Alcoy, Catalonia. These are both programmers. So I'm the guy who's doing all apart from the programming, and then we have 3 people doing coding and hacking.
All right. So sorry, I was going to say when you mentioned the business model, you mean the managed service?
No, our business model is it's on 3 pillars actually. First, we get the open source donations from people that just donate money to us. It's like I would say 10% of the whole income. Then we have our business version managed DAVx5. This is a specialized version for businesses for rolling out CalDAV and CalDAV to large amounts of devices using mobile device management software, so-called MDMs, if you know this term. And then we have our normal DAVx5, which we sell in the Play Store for all the people that don't want to get it from F-Droid, where it's for free. They can buy it in the store for €5, one-time payment. So these are our 3 pillars of finances. And this made it possible to hire two guys.
Very good, very good. So in the on the Play Store side, how many downloads users do you have?
I think roughly currently using, I think Google Play states 150,000 that use it on a daily basis. And the total amount of downloads, I don't know, maybe 300,000 or so. And all in all, I would say DAVx5 has 300,000 users worldwide currently using it in a production mode.
And one of them actually is talking to you right now, because when I set up our Nextcloud instance that we use actually to synchronize the podcast and many other things,
Nice,
I actually installed the F-Droid version on my Android phone for synchronizing exactly with the Nextcloud calendar. And it's been running great, and we have been using this for the last 7,535 years, give or take a few. I'm joking. No, we are running the podcast for about 4 years, and the Nextcloud instance was instantiated about 3.5 years ago. So
nice. So did you update the Nextcloud instance?
Yes.
Regularly? Yes.
We've been running the podcast for almost 4 years. Exactly, and I think I created the Nextcloud instance about 3.5 years ago. So yes, and
We in the
Martin,
company we also use Nextcloud.
yeah, and Martin wasn't fully converted to the dark side then, so I think Martin,
But
correct me if I'm
now,
wrong, but you initially used DAVx5 too? No, maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I was also on Android for a long time.
A long time ago, exactly. And I mean, fair play to you. The code base is very stable, and it integrates with our various calendar apps quite well.
yeah.
And so, fair play to you.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, there's on Android, I don't know if you know the internals, but there is the Android contact storage and the Android calendar storage. So DAVx5 actually synchronizes into these storages.
Mm-hmm.
And the various apps, calendar apps and contacts apps, they read the data from these storages. So we do not integrate with certain other third-party apps. So we push the data from the server to these storages.
No, I mean, much appreciated because, as I said, I mean, I'm using DAVx5 on all my Android mobile devices to integrate with set calendar. And to be brutally honest, I don't know where I would be without that piece of software. Speaking
Thanks
of
so
which, credits where credits due. I mean, fair enough, because you're open source, B, it's a great piece of software, and it helps. And I reckon I'm speaking for Martin as well, with achieving world domination with something called the Linux in-laws. Simple as that. With regards to the monetization strategy and enterprise deployment, yes, you provide a managed service. Where do you want to take this, say, in 1 to 5 years' time?
It's not a managed service. It's only how do I explain? It's basically a copy of the normal DAVx5, but extended with the possibility to integrate into mobile device management software.
Okay.
So this managed DAVx5 is separated from the normal DAVx5. It's also available in the Play Store, actually in the Play Store for Work, how it's called on Google, on the Google Play Store site. And in this separated Play Store, there are only apps that integrate well with the mobile device management software. So if an admin of a bigger company, let's say for a city, runs a Nextcloud instance and offers, for example, wants to offer the contact list of all people working for the city to distribute it to the employees' devices. Then they can add let's say 100 devices of the city in this mobile device management software. Then they can load the managed DAVx5 version into this mobile device management system. And then they have the possibility to configure the DAVx5 on a central stage. Yeah. So they can set the base URL, they can set the username for the users. They can make certain types of company branding to DAVx5. So it's a very cool thing. And it's very easy for just one person to roll out the DAVx5 to a huge amount of devices in a pre-configured way. So the actual end user, let's say one employee of the city, does not even they don't even have to know what DAVx5 is. They can just have it on their phone pre-configured, and they will get the regular synchronization in the background, let's say of a centralized contact list.
Do you have any other ambitions? I mean, that was more than insightful. Do you have any other ambitions than being that piece of bridge software between a CalDAV and some other servers and an Android device in terms of enterprise deployment? Because I reckon this is where the juice is going forward in terms of the future and monetization?
Right now, actually, this is the only one thing that drives the business very well, and it scales very good because we got a lot more companies that want to use this managed DAVx5 version, and they need to buy a license key from us to be able to start the synchronization on these managed devices. Yeah, that's the financial thing on the managed DAVx5.
So at the moment, it's still managed service alongside yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not the service actually is that we provide a steadily updated version of managed DAVx5 in the Play Store. But we do not have any servers on our own.
Yeah.
So we don't provide accounts or logins or something like this. We just provide the possibility for them to unlock the synchronization of the managed DAVx5 version.
But they don't get any special support. They don't get SLAs and all the rest of it.
Yeah, they get an SLA from us, but
okay.
Yeah, it's basically the software license agreement where we say they have 5 hours of support per year, and yeah, they buy this product as a whole.
Okay.
But no ideas of hosting a CalDAV server on our own, for example, if you mean that with service.
So you're not thinking along the lines of an open core business model where you have the core technology still freely available on GitHub, and but provide enterprise features beyond MDM, I might add now, to a paying audience. This is not on the roadmap.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
If you want to speak about roadmaps and features of DAVx5, we currently have a very interesting feature that brings the whole CalDAV WebDAV or should bring the CalDAV WebDAV ecosystem a bit forward. We want to create a standard for WebDAV push and CalDAV push and CalDAV push. So currently, DAVx5 can only poll the server on regular intervals to see if there are any updates. For example, in a business use case, the minimum amount of time when how DAVx5 can poll the server is 15 minutes on Android. And sometimes this is just too long, and people are missing some meetings or let's keep it like this. And we want to speed up these things by making such a standard for the push or for CalDAV and CalDAV, so that the server can communicate directly with DAVx5 if there is a certain change on the server. And DAVx5 will then run the synchronization immediately and not waiting for the next scheduled poll for updates. This will speed up the synchronization process pretty much, I think. And it's a very big task for us to make this standard. But it's a very cool thing. It's
which is very interesting because that means probably getting into bed with the IETF as the Internet Engineering Task Force.
Yes, actually.
And be aware, we are recording this in December of 2023. A project called OpenPGP has just forked itself because of a dispute with said IETF. For those people who are not, who are living under a stone, just 2 sentences on the current shenanigans going on. The project itself, OpenPGP, probably you know it if you're using Thunderbird and email encryption. It's a very well-known code base, and the project itself I'm summarizing blatantly now. Details will be, of course, in the show notes. Has decided to fork the code base because of an ongoing dispute with the IETF, which they used to work very closely before this drift, let's put it this way. So all is not hunky-dory in the standardization world. That's my takeaway after digging into this issue a little bit deeper. Any thoughts on this?
Not really. I mean, forking projects. I recall the fork of OwnCloud, which resulted in Nextcloud.
Indeed.
This is one what comes to mind. And from our side, we also had some problems with people forking DAVx5, and the fork was not the problem, but they tried to destroy our business model by uploading a copy of DAVx5 into the Google Play Store, and they threatened also us. They also threatened us because DAVx5 is not free on the Google Play Store. And we always said, well, if you want to get it for free, you can always get it from F-Droid. It's the same code base, almost the same code base. And what the problem is, but they just wanted to state that forking that this is a very bad business model. Yeah, and they wanted to demonstrate their power, to fork DAVx5 and put it in the Play Store. And what we did as an answer was to register our name at an EU level, European Union level.
As in a trademark.
As a trademark, yes, exactly. And this was back then when we were still called DAVdroid, and this was also the problem or the necessity to change the name, because when we wanted to register DAVdroid back then, we got law mail from a big company that stated we are not allowed to use droid in our name because it can be misleading, and no more details on this, but this was the point where we had to change the name. And finally, after a second dispute with DAVx5, which was also not so easy to register because somebody else complained about this name, but we managed to do it in the end. So we could register the name, and because of the forks, this was the key. We registered the name because we can then make a dispute in Google Play on the developer side and tell Google that the copy of DAVx5, which maybe had the same name, is not allowed to use our name at least. So they could copy DAVx5 and put it in the Play Store, but not at least not under our own name, which has built up an image over many years. So this was the thing why we registered the name.
Martin, over to you for the final question.
Yeah, and I have a couple of questions. One is the push implementation. Implementation. You're working on the standard, right? Is that just a paper-based exercise right now, or are you actively working with someone to put that into code as well?
Our goal is to work together with Nextcloud actually to bring this to life, and we have a good connection to them, to the people there. We know them. And the first server-side implementation of this will be for Nextcloud, so you will be able to have the push for CalDAV and CalDAV at least, and with DAVx5 together. So this is the first actual use case. But we have contacts to a lot of other server makers, and yeah, I think we're in a good position to bring this to a broader server audience, at least in the CalDAV universe.
Yes, that sounds good. When is that due to be or planned to be ready?
It's we are now working already on a first proof.
Okay. Nice.
And I will release a video hopefully this year or to show this a little bit in live action. So namely in December 2023. I don't know when this podcast goes live.
A few months after.
Yeah. 2024, exactly.
Yes, definitely next year.
Yeah. But it's actually planned to be released in 2024. Maybe in the second part of the year.
Yeah, no, but it's not as though you're first writing a great big standard document and then start. You're actually building it right now, right? Which is great. So,
yeah, it's also mentionable that this is funded by an LNet, if you know these guys, and they are funding it through the European NGI Zero and Trust funds. So this is also the case why we could do this big project now. So we're not a super rich company, but it surely helps to drive the focus to this project now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm presuming that's not your goal anyway, to be a super rich project, right?
Yeah, it's not so important.
The kind of related questions there was you have the integration with WebDAV files as well, right? So you have the syncing like that. So
it's not a syncing actually.
Okay.
That's it provides access to your files, on the server, but it's not synchronizing it down to the Android client.
Okay. But yeah, so going back to that next point, then you're providing almost similar functionality to an Nextcloud in that case, right? Obviously not on the server side, but a Nextcloud client in that case, you could do pretty much the same things with DAVx5.
But Nextcloud is only for the Nextcloud app is only for the Nextcloud server, and we are a generalized WebDAV client.
But yeah, in terms of overall functionality, you've got your calendar, your contact syncing, your
that's I think that's the main
remote
part.
file access.
The WebDAV file access is also pretty new. I think we introduced this 2 years ago. And there is room for improvement, to be honest, on this side.
The underdevelopment part is okay. Fair enough. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you've gone to 4 people in the last few years. How do you see this going in the next 5 years? Let's put it that way.
I don't know. Right now, the team size is pretty good, I think. Not currently, there are no plans to hire.
No world domination. No. Okay.
Not really. Not with DAVx5, I think.
If you do, let us know.
Yeah. Sure. I know you're up for this. Yes. Yeah, I've read it.
Absolutely. I mean, let's join forces in that case.
Yeah, definitely. If we change our minds, then you will be the first to know.
No, I mean, jokes aside, given the fact that you have been instrumental with something called Linux in-law, it's just fair to kind of say the word, right? But I reckon now it's probably a good time to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, Bernhard, before we come to the boxes, as in the pixel?
Actually, well, before final thoughts, is there anything that you want to plug or promote or ask help for your project?
Not really at the moment, I would say. Everything is going fine.
No money, drugs, weapons? Okay, fair enough.
No, but contributions are always welcome. People.
The GitHub URL will be in the show notes, people. Kotlin is, of course, appreciated.
Yeah, Kotlin is appreciated, and we now do recoding of DAVx5 another time to compose, as I heard from our developers. So that's a big thing for the next year also, besides the push thing, and besides a lot of other features that we are planning. But they are very far on the horizon.
We do now normally as part of the wrap up, we do a thing called the Poxies, as in the picks of the week. Now, Martin normally talks about Amish, adults, entertainment websites. I speak about recipes. Martin has to endure movies, TV shows.
You haven't done recipes for a long time, actually, have you?
Martin, that can be changed on the fly. Don't worry about it.
No more cooking these days.
So, Bernhard, what's your Pox? What have you come across in the last, say, 2 weeks that is worth mentioning?
Yeah. Worth mentioning. It's a good series, actually. It's called The Terror. I don't know if you know it. I watched the first season.
Martin refers to it as Linux in-laws.
Yeah. Okay. It's a really good first season, I think. Very creepy, and it spreads very strange emotions, I would say. All these
Netflix thing by any chance?
This is probably known as marketing in Linux in-laws because Martin keeps firing them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, good.
So marketing people, if you're listening and if you're thinking about sending in a CV, please go to linuxinlaws.eu/marketing first to make sure that you align with our thoughts on this before Martin gets on the deep end. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, enough about me. But the links, of course, within the show notes. But can you elaborate a little bit more about this format? I wonder.
It spreads a very unbehaving moods, I would say. Yeah, it's about 2 ships that are stranded in the ice. And people try to survive in the ice.
I see where this is going. Are they eating each other?
And yeah, it's really it spreads very. I don't know how to describe this mood actually, but terrifying. Yeah, it's a bit terrifying. Yeah.
Hence the name. Very good. Yeah.
And where would you get this, on Netflix or Disney?
I think it's on the iOS Apple TV. Yeah.
Okay.
You can look it up.
It started about 2018 or something, because for some reason the name rings a bell, but I've never watched it.
I watched it this year, so I don't know when the original streaming was.
Yeah,
maybe it's also No, go ahead.
People links will of course be in the show notes.
Sure.
Okay, Martin, over to you.
Yes, my pick of the week. Well, no, not so much week, but since it's quite long and I haven't. I've probably got through about 1/10 of it so far. It's a very good book. It's a Dutch book that my family gave to me about the history around the Second World War and the freedom fight in Indonesia. So it's so far very good to hear that.
And can you share the title with us?
It's called The Revolutie with an S.
The Revolutie. Like Lucy. Like
but Lucy with an S. Yeah. It's kind of an Indonesian way of spelling things.
Details may or may not be in the show notes. Okay, it's a book, or it's 2 books. It's a volume, or
It's a book, but it's several hundreds of pages. So I'm making my way through that very slowly.
okay.
But so far, very interesting, and having grown up with stories about these things, it's good to have.
You used to spend time in Indonesia, didn't you?
No, I didn't. But my dad was born there, and so on.
Okay.
So
Close enough.
Some family history. Yeah.
I see. So, do you plan ever going there?
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, in comparison to myself, you're still young, so make the most of it. Seriously.
Well, there's many places to visit. Not enough time. Yeah.
Indeed. And over to my box. It's actually a recipe in Scotland known as haggis.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Why?
Embrace yourself. And here's the sweet thing. I picked this up when I was living in Ireland all those years ago, but, and this is capital B, people, don't mind Martin Visser telling you things you should do this. If done right, it's one of the most delicious dishes on the planet. The thing is,
well, it's a sheep's stomach, right?
Yes, is it? Yes, it is indeed.
How many things can you think about that are appealing about a sheep's stomach?
Exactly. I mean, if you do it the proper way, not much of that sheep is left.
I guess it's no different than a sausage, really, is it, in that respect?
But the idea is essentially, when I made it the first in Dublin all those 20 plus years ago, it took about half a day. And it was, I mean, you don't want to go into the kitchen for the first 5 hours. Essentially, whether you do it, and of course, links to the recipe and maybe even more details will be the show notes. The idea is basically to get some sheep meat offal, whatever you want to call it, and then to boil it quite for some time, and then you put it into the oven, and then the magic starts. The thing is, during that boiling phase, you don't want to go into the kitchen without a gas mask. That can be quite lethal if not observed. Word of caution. But, and if you do it the proper way, once you've cooked the meat, once you've put the flour onto the meat, and once you put it into the oven with the spices, with the alcohol, all the rest of it, and it does take time. You're looking at about at least half a day, if not more. It can be very delicious. And the Scottish people that were present in Dublin at the time actually commended me on the haggis itself, but then they didn't go into the kitchen. So that was probably okay. As I said, details will be in the show notes. Bernhard, thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure as usual in terms of very enlightening, and we have to thank your project for making Linux in-laws work, at least on the Android side.
Thanks a lot.
This is the Linux in-laws.
You come for the knowledge,
but stay for the madness.
Thank you for listening.
This podcast is licensed under the latest version of the Creative Commons license, type Attribution Share Alike. Credits for the intro music go to Blue Sea Roosters for their song Salute Margaret, to Twin Flames for their piece called The Flow, used for the segment intros, and finally to Celestial Ground for their song Sweet Justice, used by the Dark Side. You find these and other ditties licensed under CC at Jamendo, a website dedicated to liberate the music industry from choking copyright legislation and other crap concepts.